See there on the screen some of the infamous Fulbeck curbs. Heat number 1 grid is up on the screen though, and it will be the 77 of Sophie Pawsey. She starts alongside Harrison Johns, Sebastian Pereira and Amy Frame on row 2, Christian Oblang and Maximus Shields. Last year's champion in Junior Pro Kart, he starts in 6th place. Connor McCarthy and Owen Roberts on row number 4 with Harry Brown and Harry Roddis. Both of those drivers, they'll be running novice plates. Look for them to see whether they can come through. As a novice, they will be starting at the back of every race in the CKC today and the Junior Kart Championship as well. So we do have 3 novices with Owen Roberts, Harry Brown and Harry Roddis. You can see them there. They're the ones running the black backgrounds rather than the orange. Keep an eye out as well for the gold helmet as we've got a driver around. Looks like Harry Roddis is facing the wrong way. So we'll see whether he can catch up, but it's a standing start for Junior Pro Kart, so we should have plenty of time to get him through. As I was saying, keep an eye out for the gold helmet. That's Maximus Shields, the 2021 champion in Junior Pro Kart. You're going to be seeing a lot of him today as well because he's out in Junior Rotax as well with the unenviable chance, actually, in terms of his own physical capabilities. Now, I'll run through that shortly as well, of taking 2 class victories and going for 2 championships this season in the CKC. And what I mean by that is a few weeks ago at Wunwell, he had an incident in which he broke his thumb, and he's racing with a support on his thumb and his wrist, and he's going to be going through a lot of rigour today in that 181 machine is Max Shields. Let's see how he fares, not in the early part of the day, but towards the tail end of the day when the actual physicalities of this circuit and the series may come to haunt the 181 of Max Shields. The board is up and we're about to go racing in Junior Pro Kart. 10 karts on the grid, the green light, and Sebastian Pereira in the 21, incredibly slow away. The 7 of Owen Roberts takes to the grass in order to try and get past Amy Frame, but the whole second row of Pereira and Frame both incredibly slow away, and that's allowed Max Shields from P6 to come through, and he may even lead into the chicane on this opening lap. He's side by side with Sophie Pawsey, and Pawsey relents, and Maximus Shields from 6th place will lead the way at halfway around the first lap. Sensational start for Max Shields. Was able to react quick enough to the entire second row of Pereira and Frame getting away slowly. Navigated his way round as Frame there starts to make her way back through, having dropped almost all the way to the tail end of the field. Remember, it's 8 minutes plus 1 lap as Sophie Pawsey goes slightly wide through the turns 4, 5 and 6 complex. Manages to hold on to 2nd place though, but disappearing off into the distance already is Max Shields as Sebastian Pereira dives to the inside into chicane 1 and moves back into 2nd place. So a slow start for Pereira now sees him up back into 2nd place as Christian Oblang makes a very, very late dive to the inside. Sophie Pawsey has to go incredibly wide in order to avoid anything, and in doing so almost loses a position to Owen Roberts. Looks like Roberts may well have got alongside into the chicane but can't get through on Sophie Pawsey into chicane 2. Corner they're going round now, that's actually turn 3, even though we're almost halfway round the track because the 2 chicanes are named 1 and 2, and then the remaining corners go from 1 all the way through up to 8 as we go into the complex of 5, 6 and 7 here at Fulbeck, although generally there's not much turning beyond the entry into 6. It's just a big long loop, even though the track does actually straighten out. There's Roberts trying to go down the inside of Sophie Pawsey. Pawsey's actually got something flapping as the number 10 of Harrison Johns is off into the tyres. Not quite sure where that is. I think it's down the second part of the circuit because there's no visible yellows in the opening part of the track as Sophie Pawsey gets alongside Owen Roberts once again. It looks like Roberts is going to have the run into the 2nd chicane, gets the number 7 stop. So the novice driver, Owen Roberts, makes his way through and is now up into 4th place behind Shields, Pereira and Christian Oblang. And here then it's in CKC. It's a fixed gearing as well for Junior Pro Kart, so they'll be running the same size. All of them are running rear sprockets of the same size, whereas all of our other classes have got open gearing. So we're almost actually at half race distance. Have a quick run through of the results. There's the yellow flag out down there at post 5, and that might be where we will find Harrison Johns, but he's currently being shown as 2 laps down. So we'll see whether he rejoins the fray later on, just to get some valuable track time for the driver of the number 10. Joining us from Neath in South Wales, the results as it stands, it sees Maximus Shields now 2.5 seconds in the lead from Sebastian Pereira, with Christian Oblang completing the top 3. Then it's Roberts, Pawsey, Roddis, McCarthy, Brown, Frame and Harrison Johns, who's now actually classed only as 1 lap down, so I think he is back running down there in P10, just getting some lap time in now and refamiliarising himself with this Fulbeck circuit. Owen Roberts, though, going incredibly well on his novice plates as Sebastian Pereira sets the fastest lap of the race. The 2 leaders out at the front, half a second quicker than anybody else on the circuit, and it's Pereira who was slightly quicker than Maximus Shields on the opening lap, only by a tenth, and he's going to need to start chipping away at a higher rate of knots if he's going to close in on Maximus Shields. The gap at 2.4, he was only half a tenth quicker on that previous lap. But let's see how we go with that one. It'll certainly give Pereira confidence. He would have been probably up there with Shields, actually, if he hadn't have had such a slow start. That cost him probably 3 or 4 seconds at the very least off the start for Sebastian Pereira. And with this condensed grid of junior pro karts, with the 10 of them, even if you're starting towards the tail end of the field on the random grid, it's not going to be too much of a detriment for them to try and come back through. So Maximus Shields, certainly out the front now, will be looking to potentially ease this one off. And as I say that, as he pumps in the fastest lap of the race by well over half a second, a 51.4 for him, thought he might just be trying to ease this one off with it being with him having a lot of races to do today, at least 8 races then for Max Shields. He's going to have 4 in Junior Pro and 4 in Junior Rotax as well later on in the day. At the very least, he's going to get, at least 10 minutes between the heats, which is going to allow him to jump out of one machine and the other. It's not a case where he's going to have to just jump straight out of one into the other. I think he's got plenty of time between the races, which will be good for him. He'll be able to get some fluids on board and get himself psyched up for the completely different machinery of Junior Rotax. 2 minutes and 45 remaining then. We've probably got 3 more laps at the very, very least for Junior Pro. And the field has begun to spread itself out a little bit after that, what was quite a frantic start with the second row not getting away quite as quickly as both they'd have hoped and some of those behind, as the field concertinaed itself up in the run down to the first corner. The one to take full advantage, though, was Maximus Shields. He's 3.1 seconds now at the front as he pumps in another fastest lap. So the thoughts that he might be slowing down and taking it easy towards the tail of this race are completely out the window. The traditional racing driver's mentality of flat out all the time. I think as we've had a spin down at post 1 of Harrison Johns, I think has been off again, but now he's running again. With 1 minute and 50 remaining, it may well be that Shields does catch up onto the back of Harrison Johns. There is still around about the length of this entire back straight that you see Pereira entering onto, coming through what is known here at Fulbeck as turn 2, although there's not actually much of a turn. You're just lining yourself up ready for the chicane as Amy Frame and Harry Brown battling it out over P8, and Frame has managed to get past Harry Brown on that previous lap. You see Brown there with the black numbers and the denoted as such down the left side as he gets a bit of tail slide on coming out of the chicane. A driver who's acquitted himself very, very well to this Junior Pro Kart ranks. This is only his 3rd race at junior level, having stepped up from cadets last season, and at 11 years old is just around about getting to grips with this Junior Pro Kart class. Like I say, it's with the step up from cadets, the additional weight of around about 40 kilos, and moving on to an adult frame as well. It's quite a big jump going into juniors, and Harry Brown acquitting himself very, very well in his infancy in this class. 42 seconds remaining. The leader will come over the line. He's going to get at least 2 more laps in as he'll be through and round, I think there he is in the background. So he'll come through with plenty of time as Amy Frame starts to pull away slightly from Harry Brown. There is your leader, though, your reigning champion, Maximus Shields, with the somewhat apt gold helmet on. He's going to come through, having won the championship last year. He's going to, the initial idea this season was to go and just do junior Rotax, but now he's actually going to go and try and win 2 championships here this year. It's going to be difficult for him. Certainly with that step up into juniors, he's obviously been spent a lot more time in the junior pro kart ranks as he does make his way past Harrison Johns down there into chicane 2. You have a look at Max Shields. He's going to come through now. The time at the top of the screen has elapsed, and Maximus Shields will see the last lap board when he comes round. Still pumping in the fastest laps of this race, now consistently over half a second clear per lap of everybody else on circuit is Max Shields. Last lap board is out for him this time though, and he is 52 seconds away from taking the opening junior pro kart race of the day. Just a quick note as well about them chicanes, as we see Max Shields get the kart stopped slightly sideways on entry, is that if you do go through them chicanes throughout the day, you will pick up penalties and they accumulate. So the first time you go through it, it's a 5-second penalty. They'll add another 10 seconds, so it's effectively going to be 15 if you go through the second time. If you're unlucky to do it the third time in any one race, we're going to go up to a lapse penalty. And after that, if it's 4 times, it's going to be a black flag, unfortunately. I mean, we're going to have to go some to amass that for one driver in a heat. But it certainly does happen here at Fulbeck with those chicanes. Certainly the first one being missed for the starts on every race as Maximus Shields comes round the final corner, sees the checkered flag on the gantry and wins the opening junior pro kart race of the day.